What if I told you these ridiculous ads?
You'll feel better.
Did you say I'll feel better smoking Philip Morris?
Yes, you'll feel better.
Are not so different from these ads.
If you're cooking healthier by using an oil that's low in saturated fat, now you're going to love cooking with new Wesson canola oil. It's 94% saturated fat-free and it's cholesterol-free. Isn't that the way you want it to be? For healthy cooking with great taste.
For decades, companies like Kellogg's, General Mills, and Nestle, as well as fast food joints like McDonald's, KFC, and Burger King, have made trillions of dollars addicting people to their food science. Many people know that junk food is bad for them, but they don't realize there are so many toxic ingredients and chemicals in these foods that are truly damaging their health every day.
Consider the fact that eating a large fries from In-N-Out or McDonald's contains the same amount of these toxic chemicals as a pack of cigarettes.
If you're new to the channel, my name's Lillie. I'm a certified nutrition health coach, and in today's video, we are going to cover one of the biggest scams we were ever sold, the food pyramid, and why I would run away from the food pyramid as fast as possible, and how beautiful saturated animal fats like butter, ghee, and tallow were vilified and replaced with disgusting, highly inflammatory seed oils that you can now find in probably 90% of foods in the US grocery store, contributing to the health epidemic.
Seed oil is at the top source of American calories.
This is now the predominant source of calories in the American diet. These seed oils have burst onto the scene. They are in every processed food. You can barely go to Whole Foods and find a food without seed oils anymore. And many of them were actually created in the wake of Rockefeller's work. They needed something to do with some of the byproducts of the oil refining. And so in a sense, we're kind of eating like an engine lubricant.
You look at a seed oil factory, it's an oil refinery. They're going to oxidize the oils. They're extracting them with hexane. There are trace amounts of benzene, a known carcinogen in seed oils.
A conveyor then feeds the flakes into a screw press. As the shaft turns, its threads squeeze the flakes with high pressure, forcing out the oil. This chemical extraction process removes all but a trace of oil. They wash the oil for 20 minutes with sodium hydroxide. The waxes don't go to waste either. The factory uses them to produce vegetable shortening. After washing and filtering the oil, they bleach it to lighten the color. Then use a steam injection heating process to remove the canola odor.
It looks like they put that through a car engine, putting it through a car engine and then feeding it to you.
I don't want that in my body.
So I believe seed oils are harmful for humans because basically they're industrial waste products. You know, McDonald's French fries have 19 ingredients and they cook in 4 different types of seed oils: canola, soybean, hydrogenated soybean oil, etc. And there's the same amount of these toxic chemicals, which are group 2A carcinogens from the WHO, that you find in 25 cigarettes. You can't buy these unless you're 18 years old, but you can give your 3-year-old French fries at McDonald's. And we never consider the potential long-term effects of those.
Now, like I said, these seed oils are found in so many foods nowadays, even in things that you would think would be healthy, like breads, nuts, even salad dressings. And then, of course, these oils can be found in processed foods like chips, cookies, and crackers. But how did all of this happen?
The food industry and the processed food industry was created by the cigarette industry. In the 1990s, the 2 largest companies in the world were R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris. These were some of the largest companies in the world with the largest cash piles of any company in the world. But what happened is in the 1980s, said cigarettes were problematic. These 2 cigarette companies used their cash piles to buy food companies. They shifted their thousands of scientists who were experts at making cigarettes addictive to the food department. So we had the rise of ultra-processed food where our food now is a science experiment. The second thing they did is they shifted their lobbying. So the cigarette industry, of course, was the biggest, lobbying spenders and had a good playbook. They shifted their playbook on lobbying and rigging institutions of trust to food. So they created the food pyramid.
In 1955, when serving his second term as US president, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who's been reported to smoking up to 4 packets a day, suffered a heart attack. In the aftermath of his heart attack, there was a surge in concern over the rising rates of heart disease in the US, and nutrition became the new focus as to how to address this issue. Now, during this time, fraudulent studies popularized the idea that saturated fat and cholesterol led to more heart disease, and that instead of eating fat, we should have more carbohydrates. And now when I said fraudulent studies, you were probably thinking, well, the government and doctors would never lie to us.
Doctors in all branches of medicine were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?"
The brand named most was Camel's. Tens of thousands of doctors, general practitioners, surgeons, specialists, doctors in every branch of medicine were included. And according to this nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Try Camels yourself, the cigarette so many doctors enjoy.
I believe one of the biggest disasters in health and nutrition was the introduction of the food pyramid. Saturated fat was crammed to the tippy top with a warning to use it only sparingly, whereas a host of carbohydrates were advertised to make up the majority of your diet, suggesting 6 to 11 servings of grains a day. Why would they promote grains and carbohydrates being the bulk of our diet? Well, because it's cheap to make, has a long shelf life, and hey, it's good for business. The food pyramid message was clear: carbohydrates good, animal fat bad. The message spread far and wide, being taught in schools, on posters, even on our cereal boxes. It was the most widely adopted guideline for healthy eating, and yet these guidelines weren't primarily shaped by doctors and nutrition experts. Instead, these guidelines were largely influenced by the processed food industry, backed by corporate giants like the grain and cereal companies. Saturated fat was vilified, and the low-fat craze swept the nation. So then the food industry then created lots of low-fat products like low-fat cheese, low-fat yogurt, low-fat meat, and by 2005, the low-fat and fat-free products were a $35 billion market, the largest segment of the diet food industry. But yet, there was a catch. By removing the fat, they had to replace it with something else to make it taste good, which often meant more sugar and carbohydrates. However, a diet high in processed carbohydrates and sugar can wreak havoc on your body. Things like insulin resistance, obesity, diabetes, even Alzheimer's disease. The food pyramid disaster has resulted in this health epidemic that we see so many of our friends, families, and neighbors facing and struggling with today. Before we continue, I'm able to do this research and create these videos with the help of our sponsors, and I only ever promote products that I genuinely love, use, and think would be most beneficial to the majority of people. And so I want to thank today's sponsor of the video, Element Electrolytes, which is an electrolyte drink mix that I've used every day for several years now, that has no sugar, no artificial ingredients, and has the science-backed ratios of sodium, magnesium, and potassium that can help our bodies stay hydrated. These electrolytes can help with people having muscle cramping, fatigue, migraines, low energy, heart palpitations. And on top of that, these electrolytes taste really delicious. They have a bunch of different flavors like watermelon, raspberry, chocolate, orange, citrus. And so you just take one of these packets, pour it inside of your water, and you've got a delicious drink that's also hydrating. You'll find a link in the video description where you can get 8 free additional packets of all of the Element's different flavors with any order, or you can get those 8 free packets by going to the URL drinkelement.com/Lillie Kane. They also have a money-back guarantee, so if you try it and you don't like it, you can get your money back. The original food pyramid was heavily shaped by the sugar and tobacco industries. The same industries that once promoted cigarettes as healthy were involved in creating our dietary guidelines. All of these years, we've been told to eat a balanced diet based on recommendations that were never really about health. They were about making profits for large corporations and getting us hooked on their processed foods.
So the cigarette industry, through the food companies they bought, paid off the FDA, the USDA, Harvard to create reports saying sugar doesn't cause obesity. And they lobbied for the food pyramid in the 1990s, we all remember, which said, animal-based fats are bad, carbs are good. Remember, carbs and sugar were basically the base of the pyramid. So the American diet, because of that, because we trust our medical institutions, which they know, we shifted our diet significantly to ultra-processed food.
The only guidance that we received on what to eat came in 1992 via the food pyramid, a completely manipulated work of fake public health crafted by the Department of Agriculture. The food pyramid told us that all fat was bad, a lie. It told us to make complex carbs like pasta, bread, and processed breakfast cereal the bedrock of our diet, not because it was healthy, but because that was the most profitable recommendation for big ag and big food.
Children now eat so many ultra-processed foods and engineered food particles and ingredients that are basically chemicals.
Growing up, millennials were handed health advice that was inaccurate, mistaken, or downright fabricated. Almost everything that we were taught about food and health was made up.
Now let's talk about what the body actually needs. Now, there's still a lot of debate and confusion about what humans should be eating, and sometimes I think it's set up by design, but pretty much no matter which doctor, nutrition expert you talk to, any carnivore to vegan, paleo, Mediterranean, keto, anyone in between, most people can agree that protein is so essential for life. We would literally die without protein. And so for me, with my food pyramid, on the bottom, I've got meats, fish, eggs, dairy, and things that focus on that protein. Then all humans do need some fats to survive. Now again, we want to stay away from the bad fats like any of the seed oils, or also sometimes called vegetable oils. So these would be things like canola, corn oil, cottonseed oil, grapeseed oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil. And then the good, healthy fats would be things like the animal fats, so butter, ghee, tallow, bacon, chicken skins, bone marrow, cod liver oil, and then also fruit fats being avocado oil, coconut oil, and olive oil. We do need fats for survival, for our brain function, for our hormones, and so for me, that makes up the next section of the food pyramid. After that, sure, we can have some fruits, veggies, if you so desire, but then when it comes to grains, there's only a few grains here in the US that I think can be appropriate, but it's very far and few between, and it's really hard to find good quality grains in the grocery stores, so I just put grains on the tippity top of the food pyramid. Literally, I will take the food pyramid given to us and flip it upside down, and that's what I do. It totally stinks because you would want to trust the government and trust that corporations have your health interests in mind, but they don't. I know it can be a mind frack to think, what? I should be eating more animal proteins and more animal fats when those were the things that were vilified and we were told to stay away from for so many years. But remember, that advice had no actual studies, data, or evidence to prove this. It just had big corporations push this message out there so that way they could create cheap commodities and products and then push their processed junk foods on us and get us addicted. We deserve better than to be misled by corporate greed. Don't let these processed food companies decide what you eat. Your health is worth so much more than their profits. Now, I do offer a health coaching service to all of you guys where if you're looking to start your health journey, lose weight, overcome an autoimmune condition, build more muscle, and you would like someone to talk to, I can help create meal plans, I can answer your guys' questions, and I'd love to work with you more one-on-one. There's a link in the video description to my coaching rates and services, and I look forward to connecting soon. I hope you guys have a happy day, and I'll see you in the next one.